Patriotism means to stand by the country. It does not mean to stand by the president. Keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground. A thorough knowledge of the Bible is worth more than a college education. When you're at the end of your rope, tie a knot and hold on. The most important single ingredient in the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he is an American, but something else also, isn't an American at all. We have room for but one flag, the American flag. We have room for but one language here, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is a loyalty to the American people. This country will not be a good place for any of us to live in unless we make it a good place for all of us to live in. At some time in our lives, a devil dwells within us, causes heartbreaks, confusion, and troubles, then dies. A man who is good enough to shed his blood for the country is good enough to be given a square deal afterwards. It is hard to fail, but it is worse never to have tried to succeed. Here is your country. Cherish these natural wonders. Cherish the natural resources. Cherish the history and romance as a sacred heritage for your children and your children's children. Do not let selfish men or greedy interests skin your country of its beauty, its riches, or its romance. There can be nothing in the world more beautiful than the Yosemite, the groves of the giant sequoias and redwoods, the canyon of the Colorado, the canyon of the Yellowstone, the Three Tetons, and our people should see to it that they are preserved for their children and their children's children, forever, with their majestic beauty all unmarred. There is no room in this country for hyphenated Americanism, the one absolutely certain way of bringing this nation to ruin, of preventing all possibility of its continuing to be a nation at all, would be to permit it to become a tangle of squabbling nationalities. In any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing is the wrong thing, and the worst thing you can do is nothing. It is only through labor and painful effort, by grim energy and resolute courage, that we move on to better things. Do what you can, with what you have, where you are. If you could kick the person in the pants responsible for most of your trouble, you wouldn't sit for a month. Every immigrant who comes here should be required within 5 years to learn English or leave the country. Speak softly and carry a big stick. You will go far. People ask the difference between a leader and a boss. The leader works in the open and the boss in covert. The leader leads and the boss drives. Far and away, the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. No man is above the law, and no man is below it, nor do we ask any man's permission when we ask him to obey it. I think there is only one quality worse than hardness of heart, and that is softness of head. A man who has never gone to school may steal from a freight car, but if he has a university education, he may steal the whole railroad. Appraisals are where you get together with your team leader and agree what an outstanding member of the team you are, how much your contribution has been valued, what massive potential you have, and in recognition of all this, would you mind having your salary halved? Great thoughts speak only to the thoughtful mind, but great actions speak to all mankind. People ask the difference between a leader and a boss. The leader leads, and the boss drives. Behind the ostensible government sits enthroned an invisible government, owing no allegiance and acknowledging no responsibility to the people. To destroy this invisible government, to befoul the unholy alliance between corrupt business and corrupt politics is the first task of the statesmanship of today. Courtesy is as much a mark of a gentleman as courage. To educate a man in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace to society. Old age is like everything else. To make a success of it, you've got to start young. Knowing what's right doesn't mean much unless you do what's right. I violate no secret when I say that one of the greatest values in Masonry is that it affords an opportunity for men of all walks of life to meet on common ground where all men are equal and have one common interest. There is but one answer to terrorism, and it is best delivered with a Winchester rifle. The unforgivable crime is soft hitting. Do not hit at all if it can be avoided, but never hit softly. Comparison is the thief of joy. The things that will destroy America are prosperity at any price, peace at any price, safety first instead of duty first, the love of soft living, and the get-rich-quick theory of life. Give the brethren a chance to do something, anything, no matter how small or unimportant. A brother convinced that he is helpful is enthusiastic. Life brings sorrows and joys alike. It is what a man does with them, not what they do to him, that is the true test of his mettle. Americanism is a question of principle, of idealism, of character. It is not a matter of birthplace or creed or line of descent. Big jobs usually go to the men who prove their ability to outgrow small ones. Every reform movement has a lunatic fringe. If we lose the virile, manly qualities and sink into a nation of mere hucksters, putting gain over national honor and subordinating everything to mere ease of life, then we shall indeed reach a condition worse than that of the ancient civilizations in the years of their decay. A good shot must necessarily be a good man, since the essence of good marksmanship is self-control, and self-control is the essential quality of a good man. We can have no 50-50 allegiance in this country. Either a man is an American and nothing else, or he is not an American at all. It is essential that there should be organization of labor. This is an era of organization. Capital organizes, and therefore labor must organize. To waste, to destroy our natural resources, to skin and exhaust the land instead of using it so as to increase its usefulness, will result in undermining in the days of our children the very prosperity which we ought by right to hand down to them amplified and developed. Justice consists not in being neutral between right and wrong, but finding out the right and upholding it wherever found against the wrong. The best executive is one who has sense enough to pick good people to do what he wants done, and self-restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they do it. Get action. Seize the moment. Man was never intended to become an oyster. A typical vice of American politics is the avoidance of saying anything real on real issues. In the Western Hemisphere, the adherents of the United States to the Monroe Doctrine may force the United States, however reluctantly, in flagrant cases of such wrongdoing or impotence, to the exercise of an international police power. There were all kinds of things I was afraid of at first, ranging from grizzly bears to mean horses and gunfighters. But by acting as if I was not afraid, I gradually ceased to be afraid. Don't hit at all if it is honorably possible to avoid hitting, but never hit soft. The only man who makes no mistakes is the man who never does anything. Do not be afraid to make mistakes, providing you do not make the same one twice. Massive potential you have, and in recognition of all this, would you mind having your salary halved? We have room but for one language here, and that is the English language. For we intend to see that the crucible turns our people out as Americans of American nationality, and not as dwellers in a polyglot boarding house. Most of us tiptoe through life in order to make it safely to death. I believe in a graduated income tax on big fortunes, and in a graduated inheritance tax on big fortunes increasing rapidly in amount with the size of the estate. Far better is it to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much, because they live in a gray twilight that knows not victory nor defeat. We draw the line against misconduct, not against wealth. A vote is like a rifle. Its usefulness depends upon the character of the user. The establishment of the National Park Service is justified by considerations of good administration, of the value of natural beauty as a national asset, and of the effectiveness of outdoor life and recreation in the production of good citizenship. No man is worth his salt who is not ready at all times to risk his well-being, to risk his body, to risk his life in a great cause. We must hold the just balance and set ourselves as resolutely against improper corporate influence on the one hand as against demagogy and mob rule on the other. I do not dislike, but I certainly have no especial respect or admiration for, and no trust in, the typical big-moneyed men of my country. I do not regard them as furnishing sound opinion as respects either foreign or domestic business. Courage, hard work, self-mastery, and intelligent effort are all essential to successful life. Nothing in the world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, difficulty. I have never in my life envied a human being who led an easy life. I have envied a great many people who led difficult lives and led them well.